Your name's not down, you're not coming in. Not tonight, not tonight.
We are Security Nation.
Your name's not down, you're not coming in.
Our expertise allows everyone to have a great time,
Your name's not down, you're not coming in.
so they can feel safe and enjoy the occasion to the max.
Not tonight, you're not on the list.
Hi guys, so here we are, take 23. So tonight we're going to talk MMA, MMA shows, not so much about security tonight, but it is intrinsically linked. And I have my guest with me tonight and my colleague who does all our media, Gary Media Turland.
How we doing?
Say hello, Gary.
How are you? Thanks for having me.
So Gary, you run a very large MMA show in Swindon.
Yes, I run Raged UK MMA.
Yeah.
Been going for coming up for 10 years now.
So you're the Dana White of English MMA.
I'm trying to be. I ain't got his money, but I'm trying to be.
No, fair enough. Well, I might have his tea.
You got
Yeah.
the teeth and the haircut.
But yeah, good. So we're going to talk about that. And for you guys that are interested in the show, I'm going to ask Gary a few questions, and we're just going to basically chat some shit about the show, and hopefully you find it interesting. And I'll ask some questions that. But first, how would you get into this? Not being funny. It's not an everyday sort of job role.
No, it's not your 9 to 5. I mean, it really goes back a few years. You know, probably when I was young lad. My granddad, really good boxer back in London, always interested. He got me into boxing at a young age, even took me boxing and training for a little while. You know, I was never particularly good, so I never went anywhere with it. But I did it because my granddad loved it, and I was fascinated by it. But when I got to sort of college sort of age, I kind of thought, well, I want to be involved in boxing. It wasn't MMA at the time, it was just boxing was my fascination. So I ended up going the route of doing a degree in sports science and working with professional boxers and amateur boxers and that sort of lane. So that's what got me into combat sports to begin with. But while that was going on, while I was at college, I also took an interest in organising events. And I was putting on MC and DJ nights when I was 15, 16 years old around the area. So two kind of went hand in hand down the line, and we're still going.
That's fair enough. So your promotion, so Raged UK, and these are fighters that are professional as well as amateur.
That's right, yeah.
And my understanding is, so for you guys that know me, Security Nation, we sponsor a table, we go to all of his shows, and we gladly support Gary in that respect. We take our staff, and it's a night of entertainment for us, and good fun and competitive fights, really. And if you appreciate professional athletes and the boxers and the MMA stuff, then it's a fantastic night to go to. So that being said, logistically setting up a show like that, you get fighters from all over Europe, correct?
Yeah, we've had, all over Europe, predominantly around the UK. It's a lot easier. I'm what's known, known as a feeder show. So I'm not on the levels of a UFC or a Cage Warriors and so on. They're like the pinnacle. Mm-hmm. Cage Warriors definitely.
But I mean, I'm guessing if you're a competitive fighter, and I mean, the Hollywood story is Conor McGregor fighting in Ireland, and
sure.
Comes off a building site. He's put his graft in, he's put his time in, he's worked his bollocks off, and basically carved this career that has ended in millions and millions. And I think a lot of fighters would probably say, I want to make it to the UFC.
And Conor would have started, he would have gone through feeder shows and gone on to Cage Warriors and then picked up by the UFC. And that's kind of our positioning.
So that's the route, I'm guessing, in theory. It's not like a trial as such. If you are successful on a run and you're winning titles, you go up to different shows and continue to win.
For sure, if you get noticed, if you're winning and you're winning on shows, as I said, acting as a feeder show, there's a lot of eyes on our guys, a lot of guys that fight, and we've had guys that have gone on direct to the UFC, to PFL, Bellator, Cage Warriors, and so on. So we're a great platform.
So you've actually had guys that have come from your shows and been given the opportunity to fight at, I'm going to say, a higher level. Is that the correct way?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The pinnacle of the sport, basically. Yeah.
Wow, there you go. So it's that seems to be the route. It seems to be the way forward. But I mean, how do you match your fights? How do you match the fighters?
So, mixed martial arts is it's a relatively new sport in the UK. So it doesn't have the same regulations like the British Boxing Board of Control, which have been around for about 100 years. So it's all kind of a free-for-all in the early days, and now it's starting to get a lot better. There's places like Tapology and Sherdog where you can look at records and look at fighters and so on. But predominantly, I try to work with as many gyms as I can, and I try to work directly with the coaches. So the coaches will say, I have, however many fighters, this is their record, this is their grading in jiu-jitsu or whatever their discipline is. And I try and match accordingly.
So that can be a two-way street then. So what I'm thinking there is, so if there's a gym out there or somebody who's looking to match his fighters with somebody, they can approach you and say, look,
yes,
I've got a young lad. He's 3-0. This is what he is. And you would then take a look and say, okay, who can we match him to? So there's
that's an avenue. Yeah, and I always like to work with the coaches.
Yeah, so the gyms can come to you and say, look, we've got a lad who we think is a bit special. He's fighting well above his weight, but he's fighting, above himself, and we think he could take on that level. And with a little bit of,
he needs a platform, basically. Can you get him matched?
Yeah.
And the majority of the time, we'll look to see who we can match these guys up with.
Fair enough. And so, I mean, for members of the public, one of the things that impressed me when I came to your show first time was just how many fucking great cameras you had around the ring.
Yeah.
And that's because it's live streamed on pay-per-view and stuff like that, correct?
That's right. We work with a company called Showtech, and their sister company is FightWorld.tv.
Yeah.
And Showtech, they work with some of the biggest events in the UK, including Cage Warriors, UFC, and numerous others. I've known Simon, the owner, for quite a few years, and he was there early days of Raged, and as his company's grown and got bigger and bigger and bigger, we've been lucky to have that affiliation with those guys.
So live streaming all over Europe. So these opportunities...
you can watch it all over the world.
Yeah, so for example, a young fighter comes in and he's fighting on your show, that there is a platform that sends him out wherever around the world.
Anyone can tune in all over the world.
You've got obviously streams from all over the world.
Yeah.
And any amount of people can see that.
That's right, yeah.
There you go. So, I mean, for anyone who does see this and does listen to what we're saying and actually says, you know what, that's where I want to be, then maybe there's something in that to look at what you guys do and say, look, I want to put myself on a pedestal. I want to put myself out there. This is my coach. Get him to contact Gary. And while you're at it, get him to do your social media as well.
Always appreciate the plugs there. But yeah, I mean, we stream all over the world. You can contact us through social media if you don't know
I found that
personally.
really impressive that you didn't just have, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to the camcorder guy, but you had massive, great big cameras on every angle of the ring.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a bit over the top for a local show. But then when I was told, actually, this is on pay-per-view and it gets streamed across Europe and you've got thousands of people viewing it, then to me, I was like, it makes total sense. And it's got to be an amazing platform for you guys, especially if you're into MMA. And, I've got guys that work for me. Connor Chip Chase keeps putting people in arm bars. Stop. But I've got guys that work for me that are... into MMA and they train it and all the rest of it. And I've got guys that are competitive that fight in it. I don't know to what degree they want to get to, but as long as you don't do it on the door, boys, I'm all right with that. But anyway, let's get on, let me ask you, and this is a question you probably get asked a lot. What's the best fight you've seen?
In my show or just in general?
Both.
Ooh, okay. So... a couple of years ago, there's a guy called Ricky Rocco Wyatt. This one stands out because it is unofficially the fastest knockout in the world. Now, I'm sure there'll probably be people say there's been one quicker. It's not in the Guinness Book of Records, but he knocked a guy out on our show in 3 seconds. It is the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life. The MC says before he's finished saying round one, he's connected and the guy is starched on the floor. It is one of the wildest.
Don't you get disqualified for that round? And it's
he's beeped it. They've done the bell or the hoot or whatever they do. The fight has started. One guy's gone to throw a punch and leaned in. He's missed, and as he's missed, He's connected, and he's absolutely starched him. And he was out cold for, I reckon, about 10 minutes. It was frightening. Wow. That went completely viral. 3-second fastest knockout around the world.
I bet you, for you guys that see this show now, you're all going to try and Google that, aren't you, to see it? And I'm guessing it's on YouTube, is it?
Be on YouTube, yeah. So many people jumped on and hijacked it. But you search 3-second MMA knockout, world's fastest knockout, Ricky Wyatt on Rage UK MMA, then you should find it somewhere.
There you go.
It'll be about.
Have a look at that one. Ain't going to last long. But is that the best knockout or the fastest knockout? I guess, let me ask you this. Where you've actually had two guys go at it for 3 rounds and just knock shit out of each other and go, you know what, they both stood at the end going, we ain't giving up.
Man, we've had some brilliant wars like that. Too many to, mention by name, but even like the amateurs are incredible. Yeah. The level of the amateurs that we have on the show is unbelievable. Yeah. Again, it's great to have that platform because a lot of guys will turn over professional with us as well. Like, okay, you've done well for the amateurs. Perhaps we should give it let's have your first couple of pro fights with Rage and then build them up from that. But we've had so many great toe-to-toe wars and the crowd love it. It's so entertaining.
I'd imagine 2 guys going toe-to-toe.
Yeah.
And as long as your fitness is there to keep you through it.
It's amazing.
It's unbelievable. I mean,
remember, the pros are doing 5-minute rounds, the amateurs are doing 3-minute rounds, and it's full on.
To slug it out for 5. I mean, this is going back a bit, but when I used to go on the pads, 3 rounds on the pads, I was blowing, and I thought I was fit. I thought I was fit then, but it's 10 stone ago. So, in terms of have you had any? I've got to ask you, dodgy decisions where the referee's probably given it the wrong way, or?
Well, we always have 3 judges from different areas that aren't connected to anyone, and as time's gone on, there's been more training brought in for the officials to learn and train. So as it's moved on, the officiating has got better. But I've always been lucky. I've always had good.
Sorry, that just brings me up to something. So you saw the fight when Herb thought he'd been knocked out, and he's come in and he's separated the guys in the UFC.
Yeah.
And Herb has. Yeah. And he's got up, and Herb realised he's made that mistake.
Too late for him to call.
And he's like, holy shit. And I watched that the other day, and to be fair, the guy looked like he was spark out, and Herb's called it. And
it's such a difficult job for the referees. It really is, because their safety is paramount. Yeah. At the end of the day, and if they think they're taking a hide-in, or if they think they're asleep or not responding, they're going to act to try and protect those guys. But sometimes they get it wrong.
I saw Dana White. He gave him a bit of a hard time, and Dana White said, he's made a fucking mistake there, and it's cost the guy his record. But when you actually see him, he's being choked out, and he just goes completely limp. And Herb comes in, and rightly so. Even the commentator was like, he's out. Herb separates him, and the fighter goes, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, "Wow!" Everybody thought you were out, mate.
I've only ever seen that happen once live, and it was to do with the positioning of the referee, and he went to go stop it. Again, there was a big commotion with the team. Unfortunately, the judges was able to say, no, from this angle, he's okay. And they restarted it in the position and let him continue. I've only seen that happen once.
Is that an option? I didn't know you could do it, but if they were to
it's a rules that I wasn't aware of. Again, I'm learning all the time. There's always changes in rules.
And I think that's probably a good option when somebody spins around and goes, whoa, hang on, I'm fine here. You've just stopped it because of whatever. And then he's realised, and it's got to be pretty instant, where he's got the mistakes there and he's like, let's get you back in, fight.
I guess it just depends on the circumstances and whether it's pro or amateur. All those things can make a difference as well. But I think one of the best things with MMA, I mean, I've worked in boxing, all levels of boxing, and you can get some of the best boxers in the world become world champion. You look at Anthony Joshua or Amir Khan, they go on, they win a world title. Everybody loves them. They lose one fight, and people turn on them just like that. And they say, I knew he was crap.
I got to ask.
That just doesn't happen in MMA. You can have a 50-50 record and still be regarded as one of the greats. So losses, nobody wants a loss, but I don't believe they're as detrimental in MMA.
Where does AJ go from here?
I mean, you look at AJ's, what's he lost? 4 fights now?
Yeah.
And they've been world title fights, top level fights. I mean, the guy's an Olympic gold medalist. He's a 2-time world heavyweight champion. He can go wherever he wants. If he wants to carry on boxing, people are still going to love him. They're going to want to watch him fight. He doesn't have to. He don't
He
need
doesn't
to
have to.
continue.
Financially, he doesn't. But
No, but if
I
he
think-
wants to, I think people give him such a hard time over it. Yeah, let him come back.
What I find is he got knocked out fair and square, and he's lost that one. But the fight previously, where he fought basically he's an ex-MMA fighter, isn't he? The lad that he fought that AJ knocked out. That was 2 of the biggest knockouts I've ever seen. The 2 biggest shots I've seen. And when you see that, Ngannou.
Yeah.
And you look at somebody like that and think, well, he's just put Ngannou away that easily with 2 of the biggest shots I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then he goes into a ring with Dubas there, and
He got took apart.
He got took apart pretty much every round, and then walks onto a short right. And I think it was McGuigan, Shane McGuigan. He called it. He said if he keeps doing that, he's going to get caught, and he did. And I mean, for me, that's I think AJ's going to have to seriously work out where he goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, some of the all-time greats have had multiple losses on their records and come back. And
It will show
won.
what character he's got.
Yeah,
He's got to come back and go, you know what? I don't give a fuck. We're having it.
he's. I don't think his last few fights he's been in with the best level opposition, but I still think there's a first to see AJ versus Fury. I think public still
That's still
want that.
I think that's got to happen because I think everyone wants to see Tyson get knocked out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've got to be honest, I'd rather see AJ get knocked out. I don't know. It's one of them, We'll see, really. He's lost a fight that he shouldn't have done. So you have guys from all over the UK. So talk about the young lads, potential fighters, people that you've seen that you've gone, you know what, he's a little bit special, this guy, or a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, we get so many guys come through. Again, I'm working with gyms like Sweatbox Gym, Ironman Gym, Range Gym. I mean, I could go on and on. Again, apologies to anyone I lose out, but there are so many gyms dotted around the country that provide incredible talent, and there is so many guys coming through. Mm-hmm. Again, guys come on, achieved at Rage, gone on to bigger and better things, and I think that's.
I think, I mean, I sort of liken it to football, really. I watch my little boy play football, and my little boy is good. He plays at the pre-academy, and there are lots of players that are his age that are 9 years old, and some stand out as being better than others, and then there's 1 or 2 that you think, wow,
Special.
really good, really good. And I suppose the amount of fights and the lads that you see, the young and coming, every now and then, I guess you get, I'm going to say, a Conor McGregor coming through, somebody who's just got that, or in his film Roadhouse, something wrong with him, that he is that good. So, anyone particular that comes up that you think, or is there any gyms that keep producing that you go, you know what, they're like a conveyor belt of good athletes?
I think all the gyms I work with keep bringing out talent. I will tell you, there was one highlight fight. I've got an amateur title fight. A guy called Hani Musley and Dan Lucas. So Hani is our lightweight amateur champion. Dan is our featherweight amateur champion. The only fight that Hani has lost is against Dan previously.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of needle there that
Okay.
Yeah. So we've got these guys together, and they are both 2 of the highest ranked amateurs in the country. They have both gone on to win multiple fights and multiple titles in other organisations, and I've got the 2 come together to go head to head.
Am I safe to say they don't like each other?
I don't know whether they don't like each other. I think there's definitely a little bit of needle there. Like Dan's the only one to have beaten him, and I'm sure that gets to Hani a little bit. There's a bit of backwards and forwards. It's always been respectful, though. There's never been, any nasty shit talk or anything like that.
Well, funny enough, I provided security to a professional boxing show, and I can honestly tell you it's the one time in 32 years of running doors where we had our backs against the wall and we were fighting like mad at the biggest shows, like 35.
This is professional or white collar?
This was a professional boxing show, and one of the fighters was called King, and they were friends growing up, and they were sparring partners, and as they grew up, one of them was East London, one of them was South London, and the sort of the divide meant that it got a bit bitter between them, and they generally didn't like each other. And at the end of the fight, it went the way it went. They both sort of went 4 or 5 rounds, and then in the 8th round, King eventually put him away, but then was very disrespectful in the ring afterwards, and that caused us no end of problems. I mean, it's the only time that I think that the police said to us, it's the only time they've actually sent for a riot squad, and it was just crazy. But that was at a professional show where 2 fighters genuinely didn't like each other, and they were rival gangs, and both their gangs were in the crowd as well, and there was like 40, 50 of each.
So what's the procedure for you guys? I mean, if there's something kicking off in the ring,
self-preservation.
how do you get them out?
Oh, well, they actually got out of the ring. It was actually in the tunnel afterwards. It was in the tunnel that the people came to. So, it's one of them things. But the 2 fighters, there was a real expectation. Both fighters didn't like each other. There was a lot of pre-fight jesting.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the time people sell the fights. Conor McGregor's best at that I've ever seen.
Oh, he's brilliant.
You know, the selling of the fight and, you know, break out the red panties and all that stuff.
The hype is brilliant.
It's amazing.
If you can get a great talker,
sometimes when there genuinely is a dislike for each other,
if
and
it continues
the camps
outside of the ring as well, then
that was something I wouldn't want to wish on anyone. To be fair, the venue you do it in Swindon. Tell me where. I mean, I'm very impressed with your venue. I've got to be honest. Every time we come there, everything's great. They're polite. The venue is set out right. The way that it's set up with the cameras and the viewing platform above.
Yeah, so I'm based in Swindon, which is quite, for me, I think quite fortunate. As much as a bad rep Swindon might get, it's known for roundabouts, MMA, and Swindon Town Football Club.
Wow.
But you know, the MMA, where we are, it's a great spot because we're bang along the M4, so we get guys from sort of London, Reading Way, then go down the other side of the M4. Then we got Bristol, Cheltenham, Gloucester, and numerous other places. So it's a great place to put on an event. And I'm working out of a venue called the Mecca, and the Mecca, they kind of got the monopoly on events because they put on a lot of boxing events there, music events and so on. It's an old school sort of bingo hall, listed building.
Yeah.
Reminds me very much of York Hall, that sort of vibe. Yeah, great venue, great atmosphere. We did also run our events out of the Oasis venue, so people have heard of the Oasis, where Oasis, the band, got their name from. Many years ago, Noel Gallagher apparently was what they call a roadie to an event at the Oasis, liked the name, took it, and away we go. So that's apparently where Oasis comes from.
I didn't know that, and I actually. I've provided security for Oasis, Liam and Noel.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, the pictures are there on the wall.
There you go. They can thank Swindon for that.
Yeah, and I never knew that. If I ever do get the chance to speak to Noel or Liam, I might say, where did the name come from?
Yeah.
And we'll see.
They'll tell you something different now. But
probably tell me to fuck off. Who are you?
but we was running big events out of Oasis as well. Again, brilliant venue, but of course COVID come in and the venue shut down.
Yeah,
it was the whole venue shut down 2 days after our final event there. So it was lucky it was able to. This was literally 2 days before lockdown, before the world went into panic. We had an event there, and then everyone went into lockdown, and unfortunately the venue never opened up again. So we've gone back to the Mecca. Fortunately, got a great relationship with the team there, and Justin, who runs it there. It's great. I love being there.
I think it's a great venue, and kudos to you, Justin. Don't know you, but you've definitely put on a great night. And for me, it's a great venue. I've got to be honest. But tell me something. And I've got to ask you, what's your thoughts on white collar boxing?
So I've worked in all levels of boxing previous to MMA. So I worked in amateur, I worked in professional, but I've also put on my own white collar boxing shows as well before I moved into the MMA. There's a place for it for sure. I enjoy it. You don't like watching a good old slugfest. Mm-hmm. My concern is the safety side of things because it's very easy to book a venue, get 2-3 guys, a group of lads that want to fight each other, promote it, and all the rest of it. It's what comes of it, what happens with the weights, because you see people with crazy mismatches in weights, mismatches in abilities. It happens It's entertaining for sure, but sometimes people just don't take no care. There's a place for it. I like it in the sense that you know, for guys that are a little bit too old to go down the amateur route, I've always wanted a box. This is my opportunity, or I'm going to raise some money for charity and so on. Great avenue for them. Or you might have had someone that boxed at a very high level or box professional. They're too old or they don't have the time to compete and go down that route. So coming into white collar and having a good fight that way is great. It's, you know, there's a little grey area where you're pulling some guy off the street against some guy in the pub, and they're just going in, swinging, hurting. In fact, you've met my friend Craig, high level fighter, Craig Leadbeater. It lights out Leadbeater again. He's another one you can look on YouTube. One of the most feared white collar fighters in the country. He just knocks people out for fun.
Yeah, and yet he's the nicest person to meet up front. You wouldn't ever think it, would you?
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I've provided security to a fair few white collar shows, and there was one particular show where I actually, and this is true, I worked with this particular doorman, got to be 30 years ago now, so he's got to be 50 now, but I saw him 10 years ago, so I'm going to say 40 years of age, and he was an ex-professional European and Commonwealth champion, middleweight boxer. And he was in there, and bear in mind, I think he'd been on gear for the last 10 years because he was an absolute tank. He's absolutely ripped, geared up to fuck, but could still box.
yeah.
And he was in there with some lad, poor unsuspecting guy who was probably a fireman or something. And I watched it, and as soon as I saw who it was, I thought, he's an ex-professional boxer. Why is he in here doing white collar? And he let the guy go 2 rounds, and then third round just destroyed him. And I thought, you could have done that in 10 seconds, but he carried him for 2 rounds. And that was when I thought, you know what? You don't know what you're getting into in this ring. And
that's again.
Yeah, I mean, there's only I've seen it once. That's all. But.
It's where you know, a lot of the guys that will go in and do the unlicensed side of things, they don't necessarily have the right mentorship, or they don't have the coaches, because the coaches should be making the fights for them, and they should be the ones saying, yeah, do you know what, that's a fair fight. And because there's so much white collar boxing, you know, it has got a little bit better in the sense that they're using a lot better medical care, and you know.
Do you think that boxing or MMA, what's the most risky? You think they both improved, or
I get asked this quite a bit. I personally have seen more issues from boxing, and again, I'm not a professional. I can't give you a guaranteed opinion, but I see more issues come from boxing than MMA. One of the big reasons is a lot of people think because of the smaller gloves. When you get knocked out and you get hit, you're out. It's quicker. Or once you're down, it's waved off because you're out. Whereas boxing, because of the padding, you're only protecting your fists. You're not protecting the other guy's head. So there's more pounding, more punching. You know, that brain is shocking more and more and more. So usually the after effects, what we know and what we see, it tends to be worse through boxing.
Yeah.
But the weight cuts are, you know, crazy as well. I think, you know, the way a lot of the MMA guys do the weight cuts, the water cuts, is insane. The amount of weight that they could lose over a couple of days and then put back on. Yeah, that's crazy. And when you start doing, you know, this is when you need to be working with nutritionists and things like that.
I'd have to start cutting now for next year. At least 12 months to get.
Right. I'll get you matched up. We'll find you someone.
Get me. Oh, I don't have a problem with finding that. I'm sure. Yeah. I was yeah.
That's another story.
I won't say it, but yeah, there was somebody.
Can we sell some tickets out of it?
Or we can do a lot more than that. I was just so talking about, you know, so these shows. I mean, generally speaking, what can we expect? I mean, for anyone who's not been to your shows, I mean, and I can say firsthand, come into your shows. You come into a fantastic venue. You get led to your seats if you book seats, if you're in the standing area or if you're upstairs. And then, you know, for those of you that don't necessarily need to travel to Swindon but want to see the fights, want to see the level of what's going on, and you can, you know, choose to view it on pay-per-view, what sort of money does it cost? So
pay-per-view, oh God, I think it's about £10 or £11 off the top of my head, and that you can purchase that through fightworld.tv.
Yeah.
In fact, you can take out a free membership on there, and you can watch all the previous events on there as well. So you can go back and watch the previous raid shows, which are on fightworld.tv, so you can get an idea, get a feel. If you're going to come to the night, it's action, it's entertainment. I just want to make the best possible experience as I can, because the way I look at it is everyone is putting their hard-earned money into buying tickets and investing into that night. All the gyms, all the coaches, all the sponsors, I want to give them as much back as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I want to give them the best platform as I can. I want to give him, everyone deserves their own special moment when they come out. Everyone puts so much into it.
I do like the entry music. I do like the walk-in.
I do.
I
love a quirky entrance
and
as well.
some of them are pretty good, and there's some that are intimidating, and there's some that you just laugh and you think, fuck it, daft.
I do love a good entrance music. In fact, I'll shout him out. John Watson won an amateur title for me a little while ago. He's been renowned for coming out to quirky, random entrance. I think I seen him come out to Home and Away when he fought for me. It might be Neighbours, but Home and Away or Neighbours, something like that. And he just got the crowd going as well. Charney Sari, he's got another good entry. He comes out to James Brown. I love that. That got me pumping. I was like, so you get a few old school ones, then you get the younger lads that come out to a bit of heavy grime, or they might have their own MC.
Bass,
there's plenty of that. Yeah. Again, the Showtech production, the lads that do the DJ in there as well, they play some banging tunes. And I always, I want a party atmosphere. I want it to be lively. I don't want it to be dead. Oh, when's the next? Well, I want in between the fights. I want people to be excited.
So, do you know what? That brings me up. So, one of the things I like about your shows is it's not long. The interval between fights is literally a minute or two. I hate shows where, I get that sometimes somebody will get knocked out very quickly and then there'll be a slight delay. But my point is, when there's 20 shows to be had, 20 fights to be had, you want the fights to finish and then within a minute or two start the next one.
Yeah.
And start getting them in the ring. But when the fights have got a 10, 15-minute delay between them and you're just thinking, hurry up.
Yeah.
And that's
that don't do anyone's favours, because people get fed up.
I think that works really well with you.
Yeah, I think
I've never had that problem.
That's in a lot of shows. That's when you tend to get more issues in the crowd, where they're drinking, they're waiting, they're getting angry, they're getting impatient. There's a lot of fights. There's a lot of people to go through, so we just keep rolling them out.
Probably the one thing that is, for me, I was genuinely like, right, bang, the next one's ready. Right, that one's finished. Yeah, next one's coming in. And it was constant. And for me, that was a night of entertainment. Not having to wait, like I said, long drawn out affairs.
Yeah, that's testament to the team that I got on the night. I have friends and family working for me on the night. One of my good friends, Sean Harper, I'll give him a little shout out. He has run the stage for me, if you like, since day one. And where I might be panicking, because I'm always involved, is this everything all right? He's like, calm down, Gary, it's all good. He's coming out in 5 minutes. He's coming out next. Blah blah. He has got it on lockdown.
Yeah.
He knows where everyone is. I've got little runners, and I need that because I can't sit down and relax.
For sure.
I have to be involved. But it's good to have him there to say.
One of my good pals, Danny Arkins, he runs Punch Bunch, and whilst on the surface everything looks calm and it's organised, he's got a couple of people like Steve Smith. I know work his butt off for it, and they're making sure that everything behind the scenes is ready. The fights come out, and with Danny it's a boxing show so much. I don't believe it's MMA. I don't believe he's had any MMA fights on there. It's generally boxing, but again, it's a good show. But sometimes, and this is the bit with Danny's, he sometimes gets like two people that are local
rivalry,
and they fucking got a big rivalry. A couple of fucking local drug dealers that are getting on each other's patch, and they're like, right, we're going to have a straightener in the ring, and you see them and they're ready to kill each other. The technique goes out the window and they're blowing and they want to fucking knock shit out of each other.
They're good fun fights sometimes, though, aren't they?
And,
not normally a lot of technique, but good fun to watch.
No, for sure. And you'll see Danny on the sideline going, fucking knock him out. And, but the fact is, if that's what it is, it's different to yours. Obviously, yours is a show where there's competitive and there's titles and stuff, whereas this one is all about entertainment and lads wanting to have a proper tear up and have a scrap. But you do get some good boxers on there, and you get the lads that are.
That's why I say white collar does have its place as well. There's some great fighters that do come through the white collar. I say ranks, circles. There's some great little fights in there. It's just
I might bring him to yours because I've got a table. I might say, Danny, if you want to come, you're more
And
welcome.
I'll come with you to his.
You and Steve, and
I'll have a night off.
I'll bring you as a guest to Danny's.
Yeah.
Because he gives me a table and all that.
Done.
And I took Julius Francis to his last show, so me and Julius went to an all-you-can-eat and made them bankrupt.
But that man can eat.
Fuck.
Yeah.
But wow, I had the belt. I had Julius's belt for the night because I out ate him. I think I did about 40 chicken wings. He only did 28. But no, it's great. But yeah, I mean, this is so tonight. We're talking about the MMA scene and the shows and what Gary puts on and Raged UK. I mean, remember that, guys. If you've not seen it, have a look at it. I can personally tell you, Gary. We met because Gary does my social media stuff. He does my Facebook, not my Facebook. Yes, you do my Facebook. My
Facebook,
my
Instagram,
TikTok, and my Instagram, and all the other stuff that I am. Technophobe spazzer.
I'm the one running around with a camera at events. So I'm not blagging it. When I turn up to your events, I'm not blagging it.
Yeah, so when he comes
I
up...
really do work for Security Nation as well.
I'm here filming that. But genuinely, if any of you guys want to come and watch the show, if I've got any spare tickets, you're more than welcome to be my guest. But more importantly, if you want to see it, pay-per-view it, by all means, contact me.
FightWorld.tv.
I love to promote Gary and say, you know what, really good show. And if you guys are interested in going to an MMA show and it's in Swindon, by all means, you guys can. So I just got to switch that off. Somebody's ringing me in the middle of this. If you guys want to get to the show, it's in Swindon, and like I said, website or anything you need to.
Yeah, so if you want to buy tickets, www.raged.uk. Or drop us a message on the social media. Just search Raged UK MMA. You'll be able to get hold of us. We're on Facebook and Instagram and all the rest of it. So, anyone looking to sponsor the event or any up-and-coming fighters want to get in touch as well, always appreciated. And a massive thanks to my sponsors as well. Again, without my sponsors for my event, and one of my oldest sponsors, the Kyber as well, been there since day one. They the guys that provide the curry you liked as well.
By the way, guys, if you do get a table like we do, you do get a load of Indian food, and it's the fucking bomb. As my daughter would say, that's banging.
Yeah, the Kyber, I thought you was happy when I seen you.
Yeah.
But big thanks to Sadiq and his family. They've always looked after us on that side of things. Thank you to all my sponsors, all to the fighters, all to the staff, all to gyms, because it just wouldn't be possible. And as much as you might see me stress out for the shows, I love it. I love being in the mix of it. I love making good fights. And of course, thanks to yourself as well, because you've supported the show since we've been in contact. You've come to my shows and you've supported them. So always much appreciated. Thank you to Security Nation team.
No worries. Well, look, guys, hopefully you found this interesting. We will put this up. And like I said, if you need to contact me, you're more than welcome. If you want to get hold of Gary, again, I can put you in contact with Gary. If you want to just go to see the show and see what it's all about, I would recommend it, especially if you're an MMA fan. And I've got to just say, we'll wrap it up. I've got to ask you, what's your thoughts on Conor McGregor now? Is he going to fight again?
I hope so. I love Conor McGregor. He's hype. He's entertainment. I don't care if he wins or anything like that. Just the build up, the hype. I love all that. I love seeing it all. It's entertainment. And what Conor McGregor has done. He's brought your casual viewer that will only watch the big fights. He's brought so much more eyes onto the sport and inspired people to come in. So love him, hate him, whatever you think about him. He's made the sport popular. More and more people are doing it. So break out the red panties.
Yeah, break out the red panties, baby. We done it.
I'm the money fight.
Yeah, who the fuck is that guy? But no, listen, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll see you soon. My last tag is we are back to do our podcasts, and we are going to be doing one hopefully every week. I've got some event organisers coming on. We're going to talk about the event and festival season coming to an end. I got one more big event coming up this week, the British GP. Sorry, no, the MX Nations, what am I on about? And hopefully we'll see you guys soon. So
to add to that as well, message us on Security Nation social media as well. So if you've got any interesting topics, anything that might be relevant to Marcel to bring up with Security Nation, you could get through to me because he won't respond to you. I will. So if there's anything relevant, it might be interesting for the social side of things with Security Nation. We'd love to hear from you on that aspect as well. Perhaps get them in there and have a chat as well.
Yeah, we'll do that. Guys, take care of yourselves and hopefully you've enjoyed the show.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Very good.